Zamfara PDP Guba candidate. LP chair presents Beatrice Utubo as Rivers Guba candidate amid controversy. No iota of truth. Soludo's aide dismisses allegation of plots to assassinate Obi. And of course, we take one more. CSO to judiciary, don't compromise presidential election tribunal process. And that's about it on the Cable NG this morning.
All right, moving over to the Daily Post newspaper. Court gives Dogua 500 million naira bail. You also find this one. Court grants House Majority Leader, Al-Hassan Dogua bail. Elsewhere, Tinubu's victory. Why PDP protested at INEC headquarters. That's a statement credited to Atiku. Oyo, Guba, Labour Party members in disarray as chairman endorses PDP's Makinde. Guba election, vote APC. Skip that one. Elsewhere, presidential election, INEC has taken Nigeria more than 50 years backwards. Obi. Delta Schools, Okoa approves 65 years retirement age, 40 service years. Soludo denies plot to assassinate Peter Obi after Nigeria elections is another one there from the Daily Post. Nnamdi Kanu looks frail, urgently needs a cardiologist. That's according to his lawyer there. Also take this one. Nigeria's election. INEC releases names of new senators-elect. Is on the political side of things from the Daily Post newspaper this morning. Dancing Skelewu at INEC offices with jesters won't give you victory. APC campaign tells Atiku.
All right, now to the Premium Times. Let's see some of the headlines here on the front page of the Premium Times. And more headlines here says Atiku PDP supporters storm INEC office and protest, demand fresh presidential election. And of course, Atiku supporters lay siege to INEC office, demand to see INEC representative. And more of the headlines here on the Premium Times says governorship poll, Oyo LP candidate kicks as party adopts Makinde. And of course, the paper also says terrorists kill DPO 2 orders in Zamfara. And it appears that the analysis here on the Premium Times says governorship poll, Yar'Adua's men go to war over Castina top seat. And that's much we can take with the Premium Times.
Over to the Nation newspaper. PDP protests theatre of absurdity. APC, PCC. INEC asks tribunal to vary inspection order granted Atiku. Obi. Elsewhere, House Leader Dogua granted 500 million naira bill. Already shared that one with you from some other paper. INEC to reconfigure BVAS for governorship poll. Also, few Nigerians agree to return from Tunisia despite attacks, says NIDCOM. Killings have no place in Nigeria, says Tinubu. Presidential National Assembly polls. Police arrest 203 over electoral offenses. Nadeco has no branch in U.S., says Okpadoku. Also from the Nation newspaper, court fixes May 31st to rule in Wike's suit against planned suspension by PDP. Take a couple more from the Nation newspaper before we take some other paper. Also have this one. Gunmen kill pastor, sons in Plateau. And lastly, from the Nation newspaper this morning, cashless agencies. I believe it's an editorial piece from the Nation.
All right, now over now to Daily Trust, and there are quite a number of headlines here on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. Soldier guns down colleagues, kills self in Sokoto. Court grants Dogua 500 million naira bill, bars him from Kano Giba election. And more of the headlines here also says, how ready are Nigerians for gubernatorial elections? And that's a question mark. Queues for cash persist, customers bribe bank officials. Fear heightens in Kano ahead of governorship poll. And thanks to NAS, that's the National Assembly here, race for leadership hot up as lawmakers elect get return certificates today. 10 family members returning from wedding die in auto crash. All right, more of the headlines here still on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. Banks resume paying Nigerians owed 500 naira, 1,000 naira notes. And this also says naira scarcity. Banks shut down as cash-strapped customers besiege premises. And still talking about presidential poll, Atiku Tambawa Ayo lead PDP protest to INEC. ISWAP kills 200 Boko Haram terrorist families in clash. And of course, let's see if we could take one more. And this says 2023 Rivers will vote for me. Says all right, that's actually taken of our event, and that's much about it on the Daily Trust newspaper. All right, we'll take our first break this morning. We'll take this moment and be back shortly.
FM 94.9.
Make you say bye-bye to slow browsing speed and yama battery when you buy the INT'L A60 smartphone. E get high-speed 4G network wey go let you enjoy fast internet, 5000 mAh big battery for long hours of enjoyment, and 32GB of memory. Make you just enjoy the use am dey go. For just 1,000 naira, you go get 1.5GB and 3.5GB free data from Airtel when you buy the INT'L A60 and activate am with Airtel 4G SIM card. Make you SMS get to 141 to enjoy this package. INT'L. Enjoy better life.
My people, this na the story of Zainab. Na better food she dey chop to take start her day. Come in, show her body with the ogbonge one, the Dior syrup of hemoglobin vitamin B12. She don dey kampe, ready to go.
Joanna.
Good morning, Zainab. That na why she dey shine well for work.
Abeg, pass me the script.
And even for play. The Dior syrup of hemoglobin get vitamin B12 and protein to help fight anemia, exhaustion, and fatigue. Just knack 2 spoons of the Dior every day, and na so you go just dey sharp. You fit take am direct, or you fit mix am with juice. Show say you be champion. Take the Dior.
To be healthy, strong, and active, I say, take the Dior.
The Dior syrup of hemoglobin vitamin B12. Na the power to unleash. Make una read the product leaflet o.
Lọ́dún yìí ó wá gba ògo tuntun, tọ́sẹ̀ méjìlá ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ ló nílò láti yin Olúwa lórí ilẹ̀ No More War Challenge Ìbàdàn.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni o, Ọlọ́run ló pa aláṣẹ fún bàbá àdúrà AK-47 láti ṣílẹ̀kùn ọdún tuntun pẹ̀lú kọ́kọ́rọ́ agbára tó wà nínú èyí. Tọ́sẹ̀ méjìlá la fi máa ṣe é. Ó máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti January 12 títí wọnú oṣù kẹta March 30 ọdún yìí. Láàárọ̀ kùtùkùtù ní gbogbo Thursdays méjèèjìlá lórí ilẹ̀ No More War tó wà ní challenge ìlú Ìbàdàn. Lára àwọn olórin ẹ̀mí tí ó máa wà bẹ́ẹ̀ ni Màmá Bọ́lá rẹ̀, Ìlàjà Gẹ́tùdé Ọlọ́run ò sọ bẹ́ẹ̀. Bàbá Ojú Adé, Ọlọ́mọ Abúlé, Adùkẹ́ Gold, Bísí Aláwìyé Àlùkò àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. Ògo tuntun ní Glory la kò rí ẹ̀. Gbogbo ogun tó ti gbàdúrà sí tí ó ṣe ẹ̀yìn ló máa gbẹ́ mi. Ẹ fi yáyà máa bọ̀ lórí ilẹ̀ No More War tó wà challenge Ìbàdàn kájọ yin Olúwa. Tẹ́ máa bọ̀ láti ìwọ́rọ̀ olùtẹ́ ẹ̀dẹ́ mọ̀lẹ́tẹ́. Ní kọjá bridge after center school ẹ̀ ti rí wa ń bẹ̀. Ó dẹ̀ jẹ́ challenge ilẹ̀ yìí ti ń bọ̀. Ó dojúkọ ìkọjá Genesis díẹ̀ ni o. Ẹ pè 08066481455.
It's time to enjoy fast and reliable internet connection for less.
It's time to go big in the INT'L Home Broadband All-Time Mega Offer.
It's time to take advantage in the INT'L Home Broadband All-Time Mega Offer. Get a MiFi with up to 125GB bonus data for just 5,000 naira, or a router with up to 240GB bonus data for just 10,000 naira. Visit any INT'L shop or www.airtel.com.ng/HBB now.
INT'L, the smartphone network.
You're listening to 32 FM 94.9.
On our practical experiences for informed feedback that will aid in perfecting our action plan for the forthcoming governorship and State House of Assembly elections on 11th of March 2023, and guaranteeing a stable internal security order ahead of the electoral exercise across the country. Democracy is a dynamic process. Election security governance practice is similarly dynamic. By implication, as our democratic culture evolves, the security framework that aids in the advancement of the process must also be continually perfected and evaluated. As the lead agency in the election security framework, therefore, it is natural that the citizens will continually demand of us a high-level security architecture that will give them their trust and confidence in the electoral process. Consequently, we remain duty-bound to recommit ourselves to pathways that will incrementally strengthen our operational capacity and professional knowledge in navigating through the complex dynamics of our electoral process as we strive to police our democratic heritage and meet the expectations of all the electorates. In this regard, while the presidential and national assembly election might have presented varying degrees of challenges as captured in the post-election operations feedback,
32 FM 94.9.
All right, you're welcome back. And of course, it's still 32 FM 94.9, and it's the papers review here and break it down. It's great to know that Mr. Austin Edumi is also joining us on the platform. Good morning, Mr. Austin.
Good morning, Gbolabo.
Good morning, also.
All right, quickly, that was the voice of the IGP itself, showing that his men and himself are prepared for the governorship elections itself. What are we going to be seeing? Because obviously, looking at what happened during the presidential election, I'm sure that the security were also on high alert ahead of that particular elections, but so many things happened. There were a number of things that cropped up in spite of the fact that we have deployments being done. So what are we going to, in spite of the fact that he's saying that they are well prepared for these elections and they've learned their lessons, what do we expect from the security architecture ahead of the governorship election itself?
Well, we expect a more robust security response system. In the presidential election, what we observed was that not as if security were not on red alert, but at the end of the day, their response was not as swift as expected. But if you look at the general overview, you could still score the security deployments and operations above average. We have a couple of issues here and there, security breaches in some parts of the country, but not with the generality of the election. So in my view, based on the just concluded presidential election, security operatives did fantastically well, but they could do more. Of course, in a democracy, especially the ballot process, there shouldn't be issue. We have a couple of cases of ballot box snatching. That should by now become not necessary for people to do. So we expect improved security as far as this Saturday election is concerned. Thank God that IGP has carried out briefing there, putting everybody on red alert, ensuring that all hands are on deck, especially the security forces, to be able to tackle rising emergency security situation in the governorship election. The box is in the court of the IGP the more, because we are talking about civil administration and this is about election. On a good day, armed forces should not even be deployed for the purpose of election. It has to be the regular and the conventional police. By the way, police are not even supposed to bear harm at the polling unit. They are only supposed to be on alert, patrol, and at the end of the day, in volatile area, when there are emergencies as far as security situation is concerned, they respond swiftly. So we need more of quick response to some of these emergency situations. And we also hope that they will not serve as a willing tool in the hands of politicians, those who want to perpetrate electoral fraud, to be able to carry that out. Because majorly for politicians now, there are two avenues by which they rig election. One is the issue of vote buying, voters' inducement. Then on the other hand, once they know that they are not so popular in an area, they mobilize their touts to cause mayhem, because they know that when there are issues, the election or the result in such area will definitely be cancelled. So we are employing security operatives, especially the Nigerian police, to be on top of the situation and ensure that they don't become willing to in the hands of some unpopular and aberrant politicians who want to win election at all costs.
All right, moving on over to some other stories now, but still talking elections. The Independent National Electoral Commission has asked the Petition Tribunal, the Presidential Election Tribunal, to vary the orders it was granted to the candidates of the PDP and the Labour Party. INEC says it needs to reconfigure the bimodal voter accreditation system for the next round of elections. Austin, please, let's have you speak on that.
Yes, we also talked about it partly yesterday. What that implies is that INEC will not import Beavers machine for the governorship election. It's still the same Beavers machine that was used in the last Saturday's election,
right,
that will also be used for the governorship and state houses of assemblies election. The only thing that will be done is to reconfigure those machines. And the reason why INEC have decided to approach the court is that the case is already in court by the candidate of the PDP and that of the Labour Party. And the court has given them leave to inspect some of the sensitive materials used for the election. And when you talk about sensitivity of material, the beavers is chief among them. Now, the implication of that particular court pronouncement, of course, it came through ex parte order anyway.
Right.
The implication, ex parte order, meaning that INEC was not available for that particular hearing. Now, the implication is that those materials, including beavers, should be kept, not tampered with, for inspection.
Right.
It has to be nationwide. Now we have another round of election, which is just 2 weeks from the conduct of the presidential election. Since nobody is expecting INEC to import another beavers machine,
right,
that same machine definitely will be used. The other option is to postpone the election indefinitely, because for this candidate to be able to inspect this beavers machine,
right,
it will take a number of time, you understand, and that will create a constitutional crisis. So we are hoping that between today and tomorrow, the court should be able to give INEC a go-ahead to reconfigure those machines for the Saturday's election. This is for the good of everybody. For parties who think they have been robbed, for parties who think they have issues, for parties who think they are popular, election will have to hold for you to test your popularity.
Right.
So I hope that the court will do the needful by the same way they've granted those parties leave to inspect the material. They should also come up with another kind of pronouncement that INEC will still use the same beavers machine for the governorship election. Because if that is not put into consideration, we are going to have a serious lacuna.
But a lot of people will be asking the question, if INEC is taking back the beavers, how is this going to affect the integrity of the process? Does that affect it in any way, the judicial process, I mean now?
Does not affect the judicial process. INEC is not taking back the beavers. Don't forget the beavers machine is still with INEC.
Okay.
You understand? The court only granted the prayers of the Labour Party and the PDP's candidate for inspection of those machines.
Right.
You know, they claim that they have figures that were different from the figures that were eventually uploaded through the beavers to the IRF portal. You understand? That is the cross of the matter, which is the bone of contention. And the court has said, give them opportunity. This is not the first time. Even previous electoral material have been inspected, even through forensic analysis, granting by the court process. Now, the beavers machine is still with INEC. The court has said, allow them to inspect them. Now, INEC is saying that we still need this beavers machine for further election. We suffice to say that allow us to reconfigure it. Then after the whole election process, then they can do their inspection. Okay. You understand? So the major point, which is also the bottom line, is that according to INEC, all the results have now been uploaded. You understand?
Right.
Which means that they can submit them for inspection. But the issue now is that we still need those machines for the Saturday's election. So let's see what the court will come up with. I know court in their own wisdom will have to grant the prayer of INEC, except we are going to create a long jam in the whole process, because the election is two-way. It is not only the national election that we just have to conduct. We still have sub-national election, which is the state and state houses of governorship and state houses of assembly election. So let's just await court's pronouncement on this matter, because it's a matter of national importance.
All right, now let's look at the cable NG. It's been said, or it's been reported that a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, talking about Bode George, is alleging that Rhodes Vivo, Gbolabo of the Labour Party, is going to be eliminated secretly because of, he called them the Lagosians who own Lagos. And now that's a lot of huge allegation. And just to add to that, we'll go back to the Naira note. Now, banks have also resumed paying Nigerians owed 500 Naira and 1,000 Naira notes. This is a major issue before us as a country, because as at yesterday, some people were already complaining that even the old Naira notes that were given to them in the bank, people are refusing to collect it simply because the government, talking about the president and the CBN governor not coming out categorically to tell them to collect it. And now the banks have followed the rules of the Supreme Court's judgment. Now, are we going to be dealing with another persisting crisis when it comes to the usage of the old Naira note here? And of course, what Bode George also came up with.
Yes, most likely. First of all, on the issue of Bode George, I think he that alleges really need to prove.
Is it crime more than the bereaved here?
I do not know.
Because the PDP and
his reasons are obvious.
For the
his reasons
Party.
are obvious. He does not want one man, and he has spoken vehemently against him. At some point, he said if the man contests, he will also contest. He couldn't be on the ballot. He said again that if the man eventually wins the election or is declared, he will leave the country. So you know when Bode George talks, you know why he's talking. I remember when Fani Kayode made a very spurious allegation, the DSS invited him. I also look forward to security operative intervening in this matter for security reasons. Not just because Bode George has spoken, but for the fact that he said someone, a frontliner in the race, is most likely going to be eliminated. So we should not joke with it. Security operatives should approach him. He should be invited, maybe provide some valid proof of evidence to suggest that. You know, we also saw something on the social media that Soludo and some people wanted to eliminate the presidential candidate of the Labour Party. You know, social media drives some people crazy. It is not everything that you see on the social media that you swallow Ukraine and sinker. But when it comes to sensitive security matter, I think security operatives should do the needful, be that as it may. On the issue of the Naira note, well, I think the Attorney General of the Federation and the CBN, they are cutting crisis. They want to further worsen the scarcity of the Naira, the crisis, based on their protracted silence. When there is court pronouncement, there are two ways to it. This government hardly obey court order. The president and the CBN has disobeyed Supreme Court pronouncements on this same matter. You understand? That was just an order. But this is a judgment. Now, whether they will obey it or not, which ordinarily it ought not to be negotiable, but they should at least come up with statements. For banks that are already paying, I don't know. They could just be on their own at the end of the day, perhaps to ease up the tension. Ordinarily, we are supposed to obey the law, but it is not the judiciary that will implement the law. Theirs is just to interpret the law by a way of giving judgment. Now they have given their own judgment. The Attorney General of the Federation ought to address the country. The CBN governor, most especially, ought to also roll out a memo directing the commercial banks on the next line of action. You understand? Now they have kept quiet. Some banks, in my view, are just taking loss into their hands by paying. Because what if CBN come up tomorrow and say don't pay? Don't forget, rather than obeying the Supreme Court pronouncement the other time, the president had to do a nationwide broadcast to extend the validity and the expiration time of the 200 naira note. You understand? So we are supposed to rely on court judgment, but we are not supposed to be the executor of court judgment. We are supposed to just keep our fingers crossed. So it is the CBN and the federal government through the Attorney General of the Federation that is inflicting this pain on the masses. Now the Supreme Court, which is the apex court in the land, has ruled you are to obey. You are bound by the Supreme Court judgment. Do you know the reason why customers refuse to collect even in the bank? They feel that traders and business owners will refuse to collect it because a lot of costs have been coming in to verify should we collect or not. The only thing you can tell people is that let's await Supreme Court directive or the Attorney General of the Federation, because as far as this issue is concerned, the Attorney General of the Federation and the CBN governor vis-a-vis Mr. President, they are proven to be above the law, proven to be above Supreme Court judgment as far as this matter is concerned. So that is why we appeal to our people to exercise patience. We expected that before the close of business yesterday, there will have been a clear direction on the usage of old. So the bank should stop,
the commercial bank should stop dispensing because they've already started dispensing old notes.
In the news that was read, we learned that some customers I think the dispensing of the old note happened majorly in Lagos. I don't know of
even in Ibadan.
I don't,
because I met a few people who sell things that said they collected the ordinary note
from the
bank and they are yet to spend it.
I don't know
people are not collecting.
What I know around town is that those who sell things are not collecting. So I don't know of any bank in Ibadan that has started dispensing, because the operation is that for any bank to dispense, there had to be a direct communication in form of internal memo from their head office advising them, and that internal memo will be premised on CBN directive. So those that are paying, I do not know. I don't know those that are paying, but the truth of the matter is that when you want to buy things in the market, they tell you
don't collect.
The Supreme Court has said collect, but the CBN has not come out to say collect. That is why we are waiting for the Supreme Court, the CBN, and the Attorney General of the Federation. Our people have suffered enough. They should allow this suffering to go. It is crystal clear today that this policy has somersaulted, not as a result of the fact that it is not good at all, but it was due to poor implementation.
Mr. Austin, sorry for breaking in, but what exactly is the implication of this? Does it mean that our institution has totally collapsed? Is that what it means? Because if the Supreme Court, which is the apex court of the land, has given an order, and we're still waiting for political office holders who can leave at any time, we have a stabilized institution of the Supreme Court, which can never be eradicated as a matter of fact. But we have people who are politicians who go in and out of the process, determining how the institution should operate. Does it mean that there is a total collapse of Nigeria's institution as it stands?
Most likely, that is what is looking like, a collapse of the system, and the judiciary too must live above board. There is still a moral issue as far as the Supreme Court is concerned today of candidates Akpabio and Senate President Ahmad Lawan, who never participated in the senatorial primaries, and Supreme Court had to do Father Christmas for them. It's the same Supreme Court we are talking about. You understand? So how did we get here in the first instance? That's the question.
Okay.
So the Supreme Court has moral obligation, moral challenges hanging on its neck. That is why you see court judgment being varied in Nigeria today. So I know the masses will queue behind Supreme Court on this, but on the issue of Lawan and Akpabio, you understand the point I'm making. So the Supreme Court should know, the judiciary should purge itself. That it is only when you purge yourself, you live above board, that your judgment will become law automatically.
We have to go on a break. We'll be back.
FM
94.9.
Babe, how we want to pay for baking course? With small money where person they make.
Course? No, because I be bake like bro. No worry, I get plan.
You get plan.
I get super binge plan.
For whatever you want to learn on YouTube, you need a plan like the INT'L Super Binge Plan. Simply dial *141*514# now to enjoy 2 GB of data and 1 hour worth of free YouTube data every day for just 500 naira.
INT'L, the smartphone network.
ẹ jẹ́ n sọ fún yín pa Zainabu bó bá ti jí láàárọ̀ yóò kọ́ jẹun tó dáa yóò wá gbé pabambarì lé lórí Didion syrup of hemoglobin vitamin B12 ara ti mókùnù ọpọlọ ti jí pépé iṣẹ́ yá.
lẹ́ òjò.
káàárọ̀ Zainab ìdí nù ti fi máa pegedé lẹ́nu iṣẹ́ rẹ̀.
jọ̀ọ́bà náwó mú wéhùn.
àti pàápàá ń bi eré Didion syrup of hemoglobin ní èròjà vitamin B12 nínú tí yóò mú kọ́pọlọ àtara rẹ̀ ó jí pépé ní ìgbáradì fún àṣeyọrí tí ọ̀lẹ́gbẹ́ ń gbà gbogbo. mu ṣíbí méjì Didion péré lójoojúmọ́ pẹ̀lú ṣíbí lásán tàbí kọ́ púpọ̀ pẹ̀lú ohun mímu ẹlẹ́rìndòdò tó bá fẹ́ràn. ọ̀yá gbéra ńlẹ̀ bí akọni pẹ̀lú Didion.
To be healthy, strong and active, I say. Take Didion.
Didion syrup of hemoglobin vitamin B12 agbára tí ń roni lágbára ẹ kàwé pélébé inú rẹ̀.
You're listening to 32 FM 94.9.
Come back here, still on Break It On Papers Review here on 32 FM 94.9. We'll open the phone lines now and also take your comments. The numbers are 070-550-949 or 080-970-949. Good morning to you. What's the name and where you're calling us from?
My name is Tinga Mario, calling from Akpata.
Please go ahead.
What kind of country are we? Is it a country where a Supreme Court will give an order and just near 3 people, Mahami, Emefiele, and Buhari, we not go in line with what we not go in line with the directive of the Supreme Court. Something can only happen in a country called Nigeria here. Can't we throw these people out of the system before May 29? I'm sick and tired of this issue. And on the issue of the Naira redesign, the new those Naira notes being given to us by the bank. I have a friend that went to the bank yesterday and was being given this old note. He collected it and he showed it to me. And we tried to spend it. Somebody was collecting from us. I think we are sick and tired of all this nonsense. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Binga Mario, for calling into the program this morning.
07055,949, Good morning. Hello.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Yeah.
This is Comrade John from you.
All right.
Do we even have a court in Nigeria or a law? If we have one, why should somebody which does not participate in a primary election eventually the Supreme Court now give order that the person is the right winner of that primary that he did not participate? Now we are now dragging ourselves into just what we're supposed to just keep quiet on. What the Supreme Court, even the Supreme Court will announce a judgment, we have people to obey it. Is the law we are operating in Nigeria is just law of the masses. If anybody now stole a foul, they will now jail the person. And if somebody steal billions of naira, so we will just see that the person is granted bail on health matter.
All right.
So God will just help us in this nation.
All right, thank you very much. 07055,949, 08097,949. You can go on Facebook. We're live on Facebook, 32FM 949. Ibadan. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I just want to ask Austin a vital question. The question is, can Austin tell me if we still have NBA in this country? I want to ask, in the face of these insults and three people bastardizing the laws of the land, and I can see that NBA is looking and watching, folding his hands for these three people to collapse the laws of the land. Where is Nigerian Bar Association, Austin? Do we still have them intact or they are dead? Thank you.
All right, we didn't catch your name, sir. Your name? Oh, awesome.
All right. That's for Austin. Would you like to answer that question? If NBA is still existing or not?
I think the answer is in the air, whether NBA still exists.
Okay, 07055,949, 08097,949. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Everyone, can you hear me?
Yes.
Loud and clear.
Yes, we can.
Okay, good morning. My name is Dr. Mark. I have this reservation about our judicial system in Nigeria. And that is the reason why the country is going through the mess it is going through now. I have never seen a country where the apex court will give a court a verdict and the president or individuals will not obey it. And it will just go like that. There is no time that Supreme Court gives a verdict in this nation that has ever been followed when it has to do with the president or whoever those in the presidency. They don't follow it, and then nothing will happen in the long run. That is the reason why we are finding ourselves where we are today. You can see what is happening with INEC when a court says the visa should be made available for inspection, and INEC says they want to reconfigure. You see, this thing is about integrity. If you have nothing to hide, why not shape the election probably by a week or two? The reason why a gap is created between these elections is to look into discrepancies. If you have any issue, any party who is aggrieved can bring up their issue and it will be looked into.
All right.
So the INEC should be able to say, okay, we have nothing to hide. It was bring all the data collected with us so that they will inspect. These things can be inspected within a week, 7 days.
Okay.
Everything can be inspected. No, it could be much, but then people will be put in positions to look into it. What was uploaded and what was on the beavers, is it the same thing?
Okay.
What we have on record, are they the same? So that everybody can be on the same page. And then
all right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Quickly now to Facebook, Buluwatife Ademi Junwon says, good morning. It's a pity that we have wrong people at the ends of affair at the federal level because they now have the number. One citizen should have addressed the masses on the way forward concerning the Supreme Court judgment, knowing so well that it's incurring more hardships on the masses. I pray the Tinubu administration will truly change things for the better because the current administration has succeeded in taking the country backward. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, please. What's the name and where are you calling us from?
This is Mary. I'm calling from Modejai.
All right.
Yes, in a few days' time, Oyo State will hold its gubernatorial election. I will only hold INEC officials to hold their task this time around because they need them so much. And I will only hold the Oyo residents to come out in mass to vote for the candidate of their choice, not leaving aside the security of the agencies. This is the time they need to do the right thing so that we'll have relative peace in the nation. That's my take.
All right, thank you very much, Miriam, for your thoughts there. 07055,949 080 97,949. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
My name is Idowu.
Okay.
My own take is that these institutions, especially the judiciary, even when the judgment does not seem to favor or when the judgment does not seem to be the popular, let me put it that way, the judgment, people should learn to trust institutions. Nation building is a continuous process. I heard your analyst there talking about the moral issue of Supreme Court. The problem with us in this country is the fact that once something favors us, then it is good. Once it does not favor us, it is bad. He's talking. I'm not a politician, but he was talking about some senators or something being returned because they did not go through the process. There is a law. The Supreme Court looks at the law. So the issue of moral rectitude does not arise. That is just the problem we have in this country. Everybody tries to, how do I put it, aggravate or try to get issues which they do not know about. So the issue of those senators contesting, there is something the Supreme Court, there is the law which the Supreme Court may have seen, which we ordinary people may not have. So sometimes some of these judgments, yes, they may not favor you, you may not like them, but that is the law. And we do not have to pick and choose. We are talking about the fact that the Supreme Court has given a judgment and that the CBN governor has not obeyed it. Fine, that is good.
Okay.
Because it affects us. But when it does not affect us, we must learn to obey the law.
All right.
All right, thank you very much. On Facebook, Tolulope Adeyemi writes, Nigeria as an institution has now turned to a joke because banks are beginning to obey the Supreme Court judgment despite the silence of President Buhari and CBN on the court order. It's so unfortunate that Nigerians are being put in a state of dilemma on whether to keep spending the old notes or not, and I will urge them to do the needful by implementing the court orders so that all the problems associated with this cashless policy can come to an end. Okay, what a disappointing government. Thank you very much, Tulu Lokpe. That's the much we can take. You have other messages on Facebook.
All right, that's about it. I guess we'll have to go back to Austin. Austin, is there anything you want to say this morning before we leave?
Yes, on the issue of INEC, somebody said they could postpone the governorship election by 1 week. It is not so. It doesn't work like that. They have to, if you want them to postpone, it has to be definite until the case, the petition tribunal is concluded. We are talking about beavers that was used nationwide. Inspection of beavers that was used nationwide. I just said earlier, I said before now, there have always been petition tribunal. The process of election will have been completed before sensitive material are submitted for inspection by the order of the court. So that's the way it works.
All right, on that note, that's the much we can take on the Break It Down Papers review this morning. My name is Gbolabo.
I'm Kenny. Jerusalem, the Smart Kid Show is up next. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the guest analyst and do not necessarily reflect the recommendation